I wanted to talk about our own diaspora that has left this island in the last decade. I have direct family who are abroad right now because they just can't be here. I have brothers and sisters abroad. I have been abroad myself. I have lived abroad for long enough because there was nothing here for me. But I was determined. I was determined to come back to this island because this is my home and I love it. And I have, since my last video went up, a lot of people have contacted me from Australia and Canada and saying, why don't you talk about us? And it honestly never occurred to me. This is, why don't you talk about us? Why? You're talking about immigration, you're talking about all these different laws, you're talking about government. Why aren't you talking about us? We're the ones that are the victims here, which is very true. I've had girls in Sydney who are the nurses who are part of this big campaign they said, give us a reason to come home. They said, talk about us. And I was like, that is a very good idea. So I put a call out and I got messages from so many people across Australia. Now, I'm saying Australia because that was where the vast majority of the messages came from, and that's where the opinions came from. And I was there, so I kind of have an idea of the mentality of the Irish that are out there. They're working very hard, they're making good money, but there's nothing to come home to. And when I looked into it, and we looked into this campaign of give us something to come home to. As long as this current regime continues, there will never be anything for them to come home to. And I want to stress that these are your sons and daughters. They're your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your best friends, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your nieces, your nephews. These are your family that want to get back here, but they just can't. And our government right now is neglecting them completely. And when I say neglecting them completely, they're not even giving them a second thought. They're not even, they are out of sight, out of mind. And it's disgusting. I have family out there, and I know well that the vast majority of you out there have family in Australia or Canada or America or some other corner of the world. And this is constantly peddled to the Irish people. Oh, well, Irish people are all over the world. Why can't we welcome the world here? But the fact is, we can to a degree. No country is capable of taking in a population which would suppress its own. When you look at the Irish migration out, they never went in such large numbers to completely overwhelm an already settled population in a different nation. And after, sometimes not very long, maybe a couple of years, but after one generation at least, they were 100% assimilated into that culture. And that's not happening here with the migrants that we're bringing in. Now, I am all for a certain amount of migration. I don't want to just close the door to Ireland and block everybody out. I really don't. I think I would class myself as a true humanitarian, someone who really does care about everybody. And when somebody cares about everybody, you can't look at your country and say, let's just bring in as many people as we can. Because if you do that, yeah, you'll save those people and you'll give them a good life at the taxpayer's expense. But what you're doing is you can only bring in so many until the nation is saturated. And then what about everybody else? Do we tell them to stay where they are because we can't help them? Our job as a very small nation and a rich nation and an educated nation, it is incumbent upon us to help other people. And I do understand that, and I take that on board, and I'm sure everybody here does too. But by taking them in, we're not only hurting them, we're hurting ourselves and we're hurting the people that are left behind. It is our job to find a sense of stability and show that to the rest of the world and make sure that they can learn from our way of life and that they can make themselves better and we can help them in that. But we cannot open the doors to this country and let them all flood in. We have, as Christine mentioned earlier on, 4.7 odd million in the Republic of Ireland, 1.2 in the north. So you've got roughly 6 million people on the island. Africa alone has 1.2 billion. That's a lot. That's a lot. And then you've got the Middle East on top of that, and you've got South Central America as well, which we're taking in large swathes of their populations too. But as I said, I have nothing against these people. A lot of these people are my good friends. But as a country, as a nation, we can't allow it to continue on the trajectory it's going, or else we will completely topple ourselves and then everybody's lost. So that's my stance on immigration. And I really wanted to point out the views of the diaspora abroad. They need to come home, but we just can't bring them home with this current regime.